So, you think you want to be a social media manager. All right, cool. So I want to share some tips and insights and qualities that I think make a good social media manager, things that I've learned over the years after working in social media management for over a decade at this point. I know I look so young. How could I have been doing anything for a decade? First and foremost, I do want to make a distinction. So I have primarily worked in either startup social media management or running my own agency and taking care of my own clients, so what I would consider freelancer or self-employed social media management. And I make that distinction because there's a difference between doing those two styles of social media management versus working in an agency and with large creative teams and with a lot of resources. Those are very different types of social media management journeys. There's definitely overlap in what is useful in both areas, but I do think the distinction is important because I'm mainly speaking to the sort of freelancer startup social media manager journey. I've heard a lot of advice to the contrary around being a jack of all trades, but I believe being a jack of all trades when it comes to social media management is actually imperative, especially in our current landscape. I'll say at the beginning of my social media career, just knowing how to do any social media was the skill set, and it was much more specified of just making posts. Video had not been integrated nearly to the level that it is now. Production had not been integrated into the level that it was now. Creators hadn't been integrated. And so now it's very advantageous to have a handle on sort of all elements of what could be considered social media, which is becoming a broader and broader career definition. So now that often includes forms of content creation, that can include scripting for videos, it can include overlap into SEO, it can include data analysis and research, obviously like post creation, but that can involve graphic design, it can include coordinating with creators, it can include being on video yourself, a plethora of other sort of attributes. And so when you want to be a social media manager, especially if you want to do it freelance, it is an incredibly valuable skill to be a jack of all trades and sort of refine different pieces that you don't know a lot about. And this can actually be exciting because it can be where you get curious on your journey. I've learned so many things, mostly out of the necessity for if I don't learn it, it doesn't get done. But I'm always kind of curious to take in new information because me knowing more about graphic design or video editing or how to cast something not only expands our skill sets as social media managers and makes us more high value, but it also allows us to take on way more interesting projects, and it allows us to kind of handle anything because shit will hit the fan, especially if you are in a startup environment or primarily your clients are smaller businesses. They're going to rely on you more. This is kind of where that key distinction of like, if you're working with a large creative agency, you're on a creative agency team, there's probably gonna be someone who oversees like the SEO. There's probably gonna be someone like where you can hand off like the video filming efforts. There might be a content concepting team to where you don't even have to come up with the creative ideas. You're just doing community management, responding to comments, doing the posts, doing the scheduling, calendar. I would say that's where the key distinction is between these two subsets of social media management. And so if you want to live in this realm of being a freelancer, running your own company, it's very, very good to know so many different elements of what could be considered social media management because that title as a whole is getting broader and broader and broader. Okay, so this isn't a 180 from the last point, as much as it might sound like it. It's really, really, really important to be specialized. So there are the general parameters of being a social media manager, being able to post, being able to come up with creative content, being able to build a social media calendar, being able to manage comments and DMs. Like that is like the standard, you've got that under your belt, that's just assumed. And then you have all these other pieces that we kind of talked about with jack of all trades. A little bit of graphic design, a little bit of SEO, a little bit of like Facebook ads, a little bit of this, and this. Something that I do think is really important and I found to be very powerful for me is being specialized in one of those subset skills. So for instance, my specialty is in influencer partnerships and creator management. I have built influencer campaigns for companies, I've built affiliate programs for companies, I've negotiated hundreds and hundreds of contracts. Like it's something that I feel very, very confident and comfortable in that I can pair very nicely with social media from a packaging perspective when I'm selling potential clients, because a lot of clients now want to work with influencers and creators. So it's been a really, really powerful specialization that I can lean on as well in the current landscape and pair with social media confidently. Whereas I would never say like, and I've made this distinction with clients before, like I am not an ads manager. I am not an SEO specialist. I can dabble and do the things, like I can get scrappy and nitty gritty if I need to, but I'm more often apt to bring somebody on who is a specialist in those areas. But maybe one of those areas is your special designation. Maybe you are fantastic at social media management, but you also have SEO down. And so you can make this really interesting pairing there. Having all of these little skill sets is important, but having that specialization really helps you differentiate yourself and differentiate your results. That's like golden rule number one, I would say, like after you have your social media management comprehension, like you've got the key pieces down, I would look for like what part of this landscape most interests me. For some people it is like Facebook ads, and more power to you for loving to drudge through reports and analytics and get so nitty gritty and specific. Like if that's your thing, that's a fantastic high paying specialty. The next skill or attribute that I find to be very helpful in social media management is having a finely attuned no shit radar. What I mean by that is this is almost inevitable that in any of our careers, whether you're being managed and you're working within a company, whether you're working on a startup team or whether you're running your own brand and bringing on your own clients, you're going to run into people where you are like, I fucking hate working with them and I would love to never work with them again. And you learn signs where you're like, I should have seen this. I knew this was coming. My gut was saying, no, don't work with them. No, this isn't the right fit. This will serve you. Your ability to read people, your ability to read potential clients, your ability to read red flags so that you're like, oh, no, that's not for me. I don't want to work with you. And I've had this before. It's been like, I'll be in like a pitch meeting and we'll be going through like what working together could look like. And we get to the stage where they're like, all right, yeah, I mean, we're on board. Just send us the proposal. Like, we've talked tentative budgets. Like, it's a done deal. Normally, I know I'll be sitting with it and I'll be like, I really don't want to do this. And I want the money. I'm a very money-driven person. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, whether you're money-driven, freedom-driven, I mean, to me, they equal the same thing. It's a hard thing to be like, no, I think I'll say no to a done deal. But at the same point, if your gut's telling you like, hey, hesitate, wait, this is a very, very powerful skill as a social media manager. There are so many potential clients out there. There's so many people who need help with social media management. There's so many people that you can impact. You need to have the time and the bandwidth to do so. And so you want to make sure that you're taking on clients that you are attuned and aligned with and training that radar. You will inevitably have situations where you're like, I thought I knew better than this. It's okay. You just learn better for the future. And eventually you get to the point where you're like, nope. Like even a hint of it, I'm like, nope, bye. Bye. Like abundance is all around us. Like this shit's gonna work out. Finally, I would say have a thick skin and be creatively flexible. I tell all specifically startup brands, which I think it's very powerful to consider yourself a startup if you're starting your own freelance or social media branding agency, any of that stuff, is you have the benefit of being flexible. That is the superpower of being small. It is something that goes out the door. The larger that you get, the harder it is to turn the ship or like a zip zap wherever you want to go, and play around and be edgy and all those things. Like eventually, like you get your ship on the course and then it's on the course and it's much harder to. I'm still with the ship and I don't know where to go with the ship analogy. Like some like vroom vroom, like the little speedboat things. I don't know. To have like less flexibility to turn the ship, and so leaning in on being creative and trying new things and being a little edgy and being playful and really finding your voice and as a social media manager, both for yourself and for your clients and how you do social media management is the perfect time to do it. However, I want to stress that with creativity must come a thick skin, because there are people that won't understand you. There are clients that are gonna be like, what the are you doing? There are people online commenting, which we love engagement, but there's going to be comments where people are like, you suck. But they're gonna say it much more mean than that. And you know what? I hope we all kind of know this at this point, that like that projected energy doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. It's not about like whoever's receiving it. It is just about the person sending it out. They're struggling, they're dealing with something, and that's on them. That thick skin is really important when it comes to the client side, because you may find that a client doesn't always love what you're saying, or they don't love how you are doing things, or you may be like, let go at some point. That is, for one, I will say it's an inevitability of working anything freelance, that there is less stability than working in a full-time job, because you are just on a contract. And it is one of those things where they can just be like, yeah, I just don't feel like continuing, you know? Or, you know, it's not working out. Like there's not an endless timeline to drive results for clients before they're just like, yeah, I don't think this is like worth the justification of the retainer. So you have to have a thick skin going into social media management in multiple realms, and you have to trust yourself. You have to trust your process, that you're gonna get yourself where you need to go, and you're gonna build your company, or you're gonna build this startup social media, or whatever it is. You've got this. The other thing about not being able to be flexible when you have the big ship is you have the big ship. You can handle the waves a little more. When you're on the little tiny ship, see, I brought this all, we're coming back around now. I actually like have the boat thing going. Well, you're on the little ship, boom, 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 the waves, you're rocking. They're rocking you. You're gonna get rocked. And that's okay. That's just all natural. And you just have to keep steering the ship and trusting the direction that you're going. So if you still think you want to be a social media manager, then I'm very excited for you. I will say it's a very interesting career path. I will say that I've learned so much about human behavior. I've learned so much about myself and what it can unlock for me as an entrepreneur. And I have become so diversified in my skill sets, which I think is such a value, because it has allowed me to lean on so many things. Like I am now a proficient video editor. I've directed full-scale production commercial shoots. Like I have taken something from a concept on a whiteboard to, you know, final campaign launch. And these aren't brags, they're just natural things that will happen from following this career path. And I think that that is so epic, because I can't think of another career path where you have such a diversified journey. And so I'm excited for you, and I hope that you fucking rock it and get out there and start just pursuing. Sky's the limit with what you can achieve. So get out there and get social. All right, goodbye.